All right, well, welcome everybody. I appreciate everyone joining today. We had a little bit of a late start this morning because of some technical issues, but we're getting started right now. My name is Scott Morris. I'm the Director of Business Development for GTS Distribution on the gaming side, and I am here with my good friend and partner, Rainer Alfors. Rainer is from Board and Dice. Normally we would have Eric here as well from Poland, but we're having some technical issues, as I mentioned, so he may join as time goes on, but we'll have to see what happens here. If anyone is new to our webinars here live, it's really easy to interact. All you have to do is hover over your video window and open up your chat window. You can send a message to either the hosts and panelists, which are myself and Rainer, or you can send a message to everyone so the other retailers will see it. As always, Rainer, you don't have to mess around with that. I mean, you're welcome to, but I'll kind of manage it and kind of see how the questions pop up and work them in. If you're watching this recorded on YouTube, please be especially awesome and give us a like and a subscribe, and feel free to leave a question in the comments below. We'll be happy to get back to you on there as well. Today, though, we're going to take a different tact. We are going to talk about some new things, but as you may have heard from the pre-game rambling there, we're actually going to be talking about what's coming in stock for the holidays, or what's in stock for the holidays. And this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart because leaning into Q4 on the distribution side, availability is always the key word. And leaning into distribution in Q4 during a pandemic is even crazier, as we learned last year. Last year, we had more December releases than ever before. We had people buying way into late December, which was very uncharacteristic of the industry. And this year, of course, we're challenged by logistics issues. It seems like every morning I wake up and there's another news article about how high the costs of containers have gone or how bad the congestion is at ports. In fact, just this morning, the first news article I saw was a picture that someone had taken from a United Airlines flight at 10,000 feet above the port of Los Angeles. And it was just dots of boats everywhere, just parted, anchored off port. And it was horrendous. So Board Dice has actually done really well this year with keeping up with logistics challenges. They have a lot of really good games that we wanted to talk about that are really beneficial for the holidays, and just kind of walk through what's going to be helpful for all of you in your stores as we're leading into the holidays. I know it sounds weird because it's like September 22nd as we're recording this, but holy moly, like my Walmart already has Christmas trees up. So it's apparently happening. So with that, I'm going to take my face that was made for radio and let it shut up. I'm going to let Rainer, my good friend, do most of the talking here. I'm sure he's got a presentation to share as well. But retailers, thank you so much for joining. Rainer, thank you so much for joining. I hope, fingers crossed, we get Ira here as well. But if not, we're definitely in good hands with you, my friend. So the con is all yours.
Thank you. And like Scott said, I have a bit of a presentation here to share, mostly because it makes it a little bit easier to get some visual context to the things that we are talking about. And like Scott was saying, this is primarily geared towards talking about the games that are in stock for the holidays, giving you a bit of a better way to plan for these things, even though, like Scott said, we're in September. But the more you can plan and the more you can know about what's coming out or what's available from Board and Dice, the easier it will be for you as well. So let's talk in general about some of the best sellers that we have, the games that are doing well in general, and which are also in stock for the holidays. Of course, we have Teotihuacan City of Gods, which has been a top 100 game ranked on BGG for quite a while now. It continues to sell well. And it's also something that we continue to print, including the expansions for it as well. So this is definitely a game that is available and that is a solid seller, always a good gift idea for people who enjoy, particularly the meatier Euro games. This is a solid pick for them. Of course, we also have the Escape Tales series, which combined the 3 games in those series are one of our best sellers to date. Well over 100,000 copies sold, 13 languages. This is doing really well, particularly as a next step game to follow games like the Unlock series or the Exit series and such. We also have, of course, the T line of games that people like to nickname them. We're fully leaning into that. Of course, Teotihuacan itself was the beginning for Board and Dice with regards to this line of games. We have also from last year's releases, both Tekkenu, Obelisk of the Sun, and Tabanooci, the Inca Empire, that have been doing really well. They continue to sell, people continue to talk about them, and so forth. And in general, the T line that people, when they talk about it, there's the expectation of a solid Eurogame experience, lots of strategic options, lots of meaningful decisions for people. So it's something that if people enjoy one of them, they are likely to enjoy one of the other ones as well. If we're looking more deeply into the T line of games, the approach to theme, it's always something that brings an interesting theme, brings mechanisms that while they are not necessarily thematically integrated, they provide you with that experience that you know when you sit down to play a new game that there will be a certain experience that you will have when you sit down at the table. Same rough weight, the mechanisms that you're familiar with, they will give you that that connection to something that even though you're playing with a new rule set or new theme and whatever it might be, new ways of scoring victory points, people know what to expect, very reliable expectations when it comes to these games. That also means that this is something that has brought a lot of excitement to people. People are asking us about this, which is the first expansion to Tekkenu named Time of Seth. Time of Seth both expands the base game, similar to the late pre-classic period expansion for Teotihuacan. It expands the game by giving more options to the players. This will not be a brand new rule set that you need to learn. It's not going to completely alter how you play the game, but there will be more options. There will be more things that you can consider, just giving a deeper gameplay experience. And we talked about this briefly before, but it is good for you to know that this is something that will be in stock for the holidays. And if people enjoy Tekkenu, they will enjoy this. It adds a board on the side. It offers a couple new options, but otherwise how you play the game remains the same. There are soldiers and priests that you can gather. You can conquer nearby lands with your soldiers. You can acquire artifacts with your priests. And in general, just have a couple of more layers to your gameplay to consider for that. Again, same size and price as the larger expansions for Teotihuacan, so $35 in retail price. It's basically the same Ticket to Ride size, face size to the box, but just half height. So that is the expansion for Tekkenu. You will also see here, you see some of the options depicted. Again, like I said, there's the sideboard, there are new cards, there are more technologies, blessings, and decrees for people to enjoy, new starting cards for people to draft at the beginning of the game. Again, incorporating into the gameplay experience that people are already used to, just offering new options and more ways of playing the same game, just considering the new options that are presented in this expansion. The Escape Tales series, again, this is something that if people enjoy one of them, they have a very similar feel and similar expectations. There's no need to play one before the others. If people started with The Awakening, they can easily go into Low Memory or Children of Wormwoods, knowing what gameplay is like, knowing what different options are available, and knowing how the game flows. But if someone jumped on board on one of the other ones, there's nothing preventing them from going back and playing one of the previous ones. The difference here is not so much in the mechanisms, although each game does offer a few new options, but it's more so the fact that there's a different story. There might be a few visual connections. So if people have played, for example, The Awakening, there might be a few references, non-spoiler references in Low Memory or Children of Wormwoods that people who have played the previous games will enjoy, but there's no need to play them story-wise, one before the other. These are separate standalone stories. And what's really cool about them, when we're talking about the next step escape room experience, when you play a lot of other escape room games, you have a very linear path of things that you need to do. You need to basically solve an overall puzzle, and you have multiple mini puzzles along the way for you to deal with. Typically a timed experience where you need to solve everything within a given time frame. In Escape Tales, there's no time limit. And in fact, there are ways for you to very easily save the game and continue later. But you have decisions that you're making as a player where you get to control where you explore, how you explore, and the decisions that you make affect the outcome. This is an excellent game for the holidays. This is something that people can play even over Halloween, for example. If you want something that has a bit of a mystery theme, you want a bit of a darker theme, all of these, they provide that and very immersive experience. And of course, something that is great for the holidays as well, when you gather with family and so forth, something that people can play and enjoy. Of course, this year we had Mandala Stones that was released as well. So this was basically our Q2 release this year, the retail price, $40. This is a game that has done really well for us. Again, it appeals to people who like the experience of having simple rules that just want you to play the game again. This is excellent for both casual gamers. This is excellent for experienced gamers. You have the simple rule set of just, do you want to pick stones on your turn, or do you want to score them? This is a game where the difficulty and the weight does not come from the rule set, but rather from the options and choices that you have to make on your turn. Of course, the table presence is absolutely stunning. You have these 96 very chunky, very nice, excellent and feeling when you're handling them. The stones that are available. You have the large wooden artists, the black pawns that you're moving around as you're picking the stones. At the end of the game, you have objectives that you get to complete. The nice thing here is that you don't have to commit to a certain objective at the beginning of the game. You get dealt two objectives, and then you get to decide which one of these that you would like to complete at the end of the game. So a lot of meaningful choices along the way, easy gameplay, and absolutely stunning table presence. This also makes for a great gift for people, especially for casual gamers or even non-gamers. It's a game that is very easy to get into. Now, the 2021 games, one of the recurring themes this year has been shifting release dates and uncertainty about deliveries and so forth. And when it comes to our releases, November is when both Origins, First Builders, Tabanooci Builders of Ur, and the Book of Rituals will be available. These are games that, of course, the Book of Rituals, we'll talk a little bit more about it in a second, continues the Escape Tales series. Origins and Tabanooci are both, again, very strategically focused Eurogame experiences. And Origins is something that we have been pushing a lot lately with playthroughs from media partners. We have been working on a lot of content for it. Tabanooci is the one that we're gearing up towards, so that you can expect a lot of support from us in the ways of approaching the gameplay and the strategies for winning. The other thing that is nice here is that there is always, as is the case with most of our games, very simple ways to add variability to the game, just in how you set up some of the things during setup. There are 3 different zodiac cards, which are the temple tracks at the bottom right corner of the game board, where if as you advance on the temples, you get different ongoing benefits that will help you and that might drive your strategy for the game. The locations of the 5 encounter sites, which are those circular plastic miniatures that actually slot into the board. There are holes and they rotate in place. Each game you randomly set up where those go, which also determines and drives the choices that you have in the game. Of course, there's a set of buildings for each color. The order in which those come out, you never know which buildings you will get because you will not see all of them in a game. You will see a subset of them, as well as the objective cards that are laid out at the top of the game board that provide different options and scoring opportunities for the players. Again, simple rules in that you either gather resources or you spend them, but very, very significant and meaningful and meaty decisions to decide where do you go to be able to ensure that not only can you take the actions that you want to take in order to further your strategy and your tactics for the game, but also so that you can afford those actions, because as people go to the same locations, that will increase the requirements for going there. If you have a high value die, that does not affect you. But if you have a low value die, you might need to pay additional resources to make up the difference. Even though there is a military track in the game, this is not one where there is any direct negative interaction. There is interaction with the players because the choices of other players will affect what you're doing and how you consider the options on your turn, because people only take each player will only take 1 action on their turn, but those interactions are what also brings the added layers of strategy and depth to the game. There's nothing where other players can directly impact you by destroying or ruining anything that you have previously built or invested into. Then we have also Tabanooci Builders, a game that is continuing basically the T line of games. This one is designed by Daniela Ticini and David Spada. And again, as is the case with all of the games that are in this T line, you will recognize certain mechanisms. You will recognize a few things visually or even from the mechanisms as you're looking at it. For example, just like Tekenu from last year had multi-purpose dice that you were drafting, that is the case here, but how they impact your gameplay is completely different. This is effectively a rondel that has 5 different action places that you can go. And as you go to a space, you will draft a die there, the value of which determines which action you take on your next turn. So you might be a little bit limited based on which dice are available. At the same time, this is an action rondel where you have freedom in what that rondel looks like for you. What are the paths that you can take? Where will you go on your next turn with your workers? When you take an action within that region, you have to decide from multiple different options. Do you want to lay down projects that will potentially give you benefits, but not necessarily victory points? Or do you want to complete projects that have perhaps been started by other players, giving them those bonuses, whereas you claim the victory points for yourself? Or do you want to continue or complete a building that you started as a project that increases the cost, but then of course you're not giving any benefits to other players while still claiming the victory points for yourself? In other areas, you have the ability to obtain ship tiles, which act basically as technologies. You can go to the ziggurat district and claim bonuses for different aspects of what you have completed, the number of buildings that you have, the number of ship tiles that you have, number of gardens, and so forth. Again, a stunning game visually with lots and lots of player-driven decisions, player-driven scoring phases, things that will keep you engaged throughout the game. Again, same retail price here, $70. The theme here is the cradle of civilization, ancient Mesopotamia, at a point when the city of Ur was a coastal city. Of course, today there's not much left but sand, and of course the great ziggurat of Ur that still stands as a monument of this once blossoming metropolis. Of course, again, the same reliable experience that you would get from other games in what people and players and gamers know as the T-line of games. Visually, again, lots of color pops off the game board. Lots of nice pieces. The building pieces that you see on the left side, those are all plastic pieces that go on the main game board. Each player has their own houses that slot into the top of these. High quality components, lots of both the plastic pieces, wooden pieces for the different players. You have lots of cardboard pieces. Again, variability in setup. One of the things that you can change is you can change the locations of the different color dice. So for example, right now you see the standard setup where in the regions number 1, 2, and 3, those are brown, yellow, and white. The blue one is in the port district, green is in the ziggurat district, but they can be set up differently. And you might say, well, why does it matter which color dice goes where? Well, because the color of die is associated with certain types of actions or with certain types of resources. For example, after you draft a die, like I said, the value of the die determines to which region you go next. But the color, that die now becomes a resource of that color. So if I went to District 4, I drafted a blue die, I now have 1 blue resource. If I go to District 2 and I draft a yellow die, I now have a yellow resource. Blue resources are used to lay down water tiles, green resources to build garden tiles, brown, yellow, and white are used to construct buildings. So where you acquire these resources, that has a significant impact on the game without adding any new rules to the game, without adding any new complexity, but just keeping the game fresh. Again, you have objective cards, you have the different decrees that are on the right side of the game board. There are 4 of them every game from a deck that contains a lot of options and variability. You have the ziggurat tiles that give the players options of investing in end game scoring, as well as the potential for a mid game scoring as well. Also the ship tiles, lots of options there for people to invest in technologies that will boost their actions, or perhaps just give them certain benefits or discounts when they take those actions. So that is Tabanooci Builders of Ur. Now let's talk a little bit about the Book of Rituals. So again, this is a book. If you have played any of the Escape Tale series, particularly the first one, The Awakening, there is a reference to a Book of Rituals, which is just a story element. It's not something that people are actually engaging with in the game, but it's rather just reference there. So this is that book essentially. Again, this is part of the famous and well-known Escape Tale series, but it is completely a standalone product. There are some Easter eggs again. If people have played the previous games, there will be references to things without spoiling anything, but just something that is fun for people to engage with, that they will see, oh, hey, I remember this when I played Low Memory or when I played The Awakening and so forth. As is the case with all of the games in the Escape Tale series, they are designed by the World Championship founders for escape rooms, ER Champ, and they themselves are competitive puzzle solvers, competitive escape room designers. Because it's in a book form, this means that it's easier to take with you. You just need basically the book itself. There are places for you to write down answers to the puzzles that you solve. So this is a one-time playthrough. But then, of course, also the price reflects that. It is a $15 price point for this. Nicely bound with a hardcover with then pieces that fold in on the flap, so that it's easier for you to have access to those and reference puzzles that you've solved previously as you're solving different alchemical ingredients. You discover the names of those. You use those in future puzzles. You have a bit of freedom in which path you take. In the end, you need to solve a lot of them in order to unlock further alchemical ingredients. And then at the end of the game, you can also perform all of the different rituals. There are some really interesting surprises. Although gameplay-wise, if people are familiar with the previous games in the Escape Tales series, they will also recognize here, even though the format is different, being in a book rather than having cards and tokens on the game. This is especially suitable for people on the go. Maybe you're traveling during the holidays. This is very portable, something that you can start and stop at any point. You don't need to feel like you need to commit a certain amount of time to it. So it's something that is very, very portable and in that regard. Also an excellent idea for as a gift for the holidays, both when it comes to the price, the portability, the size of it. Might be something that is less threatening to a non-gamer or a very casual gamer, something that is in a book form. There's a little bit more of a sense of, okay, this is how I deal with it. Every time you open to a new fold, there's a puzzle there for you to solve. So it's very approachable for even non-gamers to play this. Of course, it uses the same web-based app to provide hints and so forth, so that no one will ever be completely stuck. If you feel that you have a hard time solving a particular puzzle, you can always come back to it. You can also use the excellent hint system in order to get hints and clues, or if you find that you're completely stuck, you can always reveal the answer. So no one will get to the point where they cannot continue. There are always ways for you to continue and be able to solve all the puzzles in the book. Again, surprises, Easter eggs, and so forth to appeal to fans of the previous games as well.
Hey, Rainer, I just wanted to jump in real quick. I've been having a bunch of technical problems myself on my end. Apparently, I froze up. I had to join via phone, restart my computer, rejoin back in. So it's been a little crazy, but I wanted to make a mention. One of the things that I've had the opportunity to play through this book, and I have all the previous Escape Tales games as well. And one of the things that I've always liked about them is that they do give you that option of pausing where you are and coming back to them. You're not stuck to a commitment of time. The Exit series of games has obviously done extremely well from an escape room game style perspective. And those are things that you tend to sit down, play through once, and you're kind of done. Whereas with the Escape Tales games, there are things that you can play through. If you have 30 minutes, you can play through in 30 minutes, save it, come back to it. If you play through for 3 hours, you can play through for 3 hours and do the whole thing in one session. But the super cool thing to me is that you're never really done with the game, because there are alternate solutions and there are alternate ways to play the game because they're non-destructible. And I think that that's one of the biggest values to me, is that I could buy a bunch of single things and be done with them once, or I could buy one thing and have it for multiple playthroughs. The thing that really kind of surprised me about the Book of Rituals, while it is a book and it is kind of like that personal puzzle interaction thing, the thing that kind of surprised me is that there were several times that I was solving a puzzle and I had the book open and just out on a table and looking at different things and trying to kind of devise different things. And someone would walk by and see the puzzle open and look at it from a completely different perspective and be able to solve different things and jump into different things. So even though you think to yourself, this is a book and it's like a one-on-one kind of thing of the user and the book only, we've actually found that it's actually worked pretty well with 2 or 3 people around the book, reading it, looking at it from different perspectives and different angles, which has been really, really cool. So.
And that's something that is very true as well for the Escape Tales games in general, right? Is that there's no fixed number of people that you need to have in order to solve it. There's not where each player takes on a certain role or anything like that. It's basically you can play them on your own, but you can also play them with other people. Even just going back to Escape Tales: The Awakening, which was the first game in the series, I have actually played that game 7 times. I have seen every single puzzle. I know the solution to all of it. But like a good movie, I don't mind playing this with new people, letting them experience it for the first time.
Oh
The
yeah.
ability to come back to something and get enjoyment of knowing that, oh, there's something coming up here. I can focus completely on the enjoyment of their experience and enjoying the story and the ups and downs that it takes you on that journey through the story,
It's almost
while
like
letting the other new players make the decision so they can. And sometimes there have been times where I know that the decision that they just made is completely detrimental to the outcome of it, but we made that decision, we
Yep.
move on. And I have a way to, rather than them turning then to the app for the hints, because there will be times there are certain puzzles, because there's a variety of them, right? Some of them are more spatial based, some of them are logic based, some of them are math based or whatever. We all have different strengths and weaknesses when it comes to these types of puzzles.
Yeah.
Rather than them turning to the hints in the app, I act as that app for the hints, right? So because I know the solutions to them, I can cater my answers to them because I know them. I know the players. I know what hints they might need and so forth. So that has also been very rewarding, which is unique to something that where you know the answers to it. But again, like I said, like a good movie or even a good book, you can return to it.
Yeah.
And just focus on new things on it. Yes, you're going to, after just a couple of playthroughs, you will have, most likely, if you make different decisions during the game, you will have seen different options. You may not have explored all of the endings, but you've seen most of the options that the game has to offer, but you can still enjoy it. And in the Escape Tales games, they have lots of different endings. The first one, The Awakening, had only, and I will say only because I will tell you in a second about Children of Wormwoods, but The Awakening had only 11 different endings, whereas Children of Wormwoods had over 60 different possible endings. So again, the paths that you take, the journey that it will take you on, is a very rewarding experience, and is something that can, like Scott said, can bring you back to the game over and over as well.
The other thing that I really liked about the Book of Rituals is that I am a huge Professor Layton fan from Nintendo. I have pretty much every game ever created for that, and I love the puzzly aspect of them along with the narration of it. And this book kind of gripped me the same way. The first time I got the prototype and I sat down with it, I breezed through like the first 30 pages without stopping. Like I was like, okay, got that. Okay, next one. Okay, got that one. Okay, got that one. And it was that kind of like dopamine rush of I'm doing really well. I want to keep doing this. So that was really cool because I have played other book type products before that are puzzle/games, and they tend to not always keep your attention, and they do tend to be things that maybe you only play for 20 or 30 minutes at a time and then put them down. But my first experience with the book after I opened it was literally like 2.5 hours straight. And it was one of those things that when I was done, I'm like, oh wow, it's like 11:30 at night. It's like,
Yep.
it's like next thing you know. So that was really cool.
Yep. And this again is something that it will be available in time for the holidays as well. So definitely something for you to consider. I want to return also to talking about, again, the Paladin card protection. Our sleeves are something that are, of course, available through GTS as well. Often when people are buying games, this is an easy upsell to talk about it. Sometimes people think about this. If someone is looking for gifts, for example, this is a nice thing to complete that gift. If you know that the person who plays games, even non-gamers, basically, if they know that the person that they're buying games for, if they're buying a gift, they often know whether they like to sleeve their cards or not. So this makes for an easy upsell, something to basically make for a complete gift that people will really enjoy. Of course, the Paladin sleeves, they work with not just our games, but they're also standard sizes, very premium quality, while still being an affordable price and so forth. Some of the points about this, they have been around for over 5 years now. very durable, again, high quality, a good compromise between being a premium quality and not being so thick that they will cause problems when you're shuffling or stacking the cards and so forth. Of course, a high level of clarity. You get 55 sleeves per pack instead of 50, often because either because there are often games that come, particularly in the standard CCG and poker size games, they come in sets of 55s. It might be 55, 110, and so forth cards in the game, but also because this way people have a few extras for promo cards or whatever it might be, or just so basically you get 5 extra packs at no additional, or 5 extra sleeves, I should say, at no additional cost.
So a couple of things I wanted to throw in there real quick, Rainer. Man asked if any of the sleeves are inner sleeves. And all the ones are really, they're designed to be board game sleeves. So they're different sizes and different I guess dimensions is the right way to say it for different types of games. They're not penny sleeves or inner sleeves that you would use for trading card games where you're double sleeving anything. That said, though, the base standard card sleeves can be used as trading card game sleeves. I actually use them quite a bit for mine. In fact, everything I'm using now for sleeves is Paladins. It's also really good to note the Percivals are our top seller, without a doubt. Those things are like by the truckload, it seems like, especially because they're available. And there's been a lot of challenge getting sleeve availability this year from several publishers. So we have all of these available. If you actually go to our GTS website, if you go to gtsdistribution.com, at the very top in the middle, you'll see a thing that says stock lists. And then if you drop that down and go to supplies, you'll see Paladin card protection, and it has all the sleeves and the SKUs available right there. So it's really, really easy to get to, really, really easy to order. I recently just ordered myself personally, I think it was like 48 packs of Percivals or something like that. And I sleeved my Marvel Champions game, and it's fabulous. It's like so much better now playing that game with cards that are pre-sleeved and ready to rock. So I've been very happy with that. They're also really good for this is just sleeves in general. Anything you're shuffling a lot. The Street Fighter deck building game has been good. The Ascension games have been good. The DC deck building game has been good. And like I said, a lot of these are very different sizes for very different games. There's even square ones if you have things like Seventh Continent or Among the Stars and things like that. So a lot of variability. And while I know that Rainer probably can't say it or won't say it, I can definitely let everybody know. The colors match one of your most famous and popular sleeves of the old Fantasy Flight sleeves. So if you have an older game that says, for example, Fantasy Flight 3 green packs, you can buy 3 Gawains and it'll cover the exact same thing, which is super cool and super easy and some crazy idea of standardization in the industry. So
and I should also mention of course, games that are where cards are shuffled a lot, again, like you said, this makes it easier to shuffle, particularly without wear. They're almost a must for any social deduction game. So that it's not about, people often ask and say, well, why do you sleeve? Is it because you're afraid that the game is gonna break or get destroyed or whatever? No, that's not it. It's for practical reasons, often to make it easier to shuffle even large decks of cards, to make it easier to shuffle games or cards in a social deduction game without putting any markings on it, because the sleeves I can easily replace, right? But also for a lot of the games that contain smaller, so a lot of the Euro games that contain these small decks of cards, they're almost impossible to shuffle without having them sleeved. It just makes it so much easier. And again, the fit is excellent, the quality is excellent, and lots of different options. So whatever people's needs are, you will find that this is definitely sleeves that they can that they will enjoy. And I should mention, because this happens every year around the holidays, people who either have or are buying additional things for Kingdom Death Monster, they will come out in droves for the Palamedes sleeves and the Gawain. Often on their message boards and so forth, You have a very dedicated community. If you know that you have Kingdom Death Monster players that come and frequent your store, you should definitely mention this to them if they don't have them already. The Paladin sleeves are some that are basically talked about on their message boards and that they share. And every year we have people that come, and I would rather have them come to your store and buy these sleeves directly from you instead, because both of those sizes, Gawain and Palamedes, are available.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Rainer, but I believe last time we talked, there was an Android app that was released that kind of did a quick overview for retailers or for consumers.
Yes.
Say, hey, Tristan sleeves work with game A, B, C, D, E, and F and things like that. I know you guys were working on an iPhone app as well. Did that one get released as well?
So that one is still in the process, but there are a couple of ways. Yes, there is definitely the app for Android, and what it does is, rather than looking up the sleeve, it lets you look up the name of the game. So you can look up what game do you have? Okay, I have Seven Wonders Duel. Okay, you need this many packs of these sizes. You can also go to sleeveyourgame.com. On there, it tells you. And again, because the Paladin sleeves are available for a lot of different sizes and so forth. That way it also tells people, okay, well, this is exactly how many packs you need and how many cards that come in there. And that in general is good for games that may not list on the back of the boxes, which is the majority of them. They don't tell you what sizes and how many cards come in. Using that's a good additional service, basically, and a reason for people to come into a retail store is, oh, I can help you with that. Let me look up real quick. Oh, you just bought whatever game it is. Okay, you need this many packs of this size. And that's just something that is good for you to be able to provide that information so that they will buy the sleeves directly in the store. Whether or not they're buying Paladin sleeves, of course, we'd prefer that. But even if it's just to help them make a purchase to buy any kind of sleeves, that's something to be aware of, the sleeveyourgame.com.
And it's good to know. I did also put sleeveyourgame.com into the chat as well, so
Yep.
people have access to that. It's good to know, you mentioned it on the slide there, that we have the 10 most popular and best-selling sleeve packs in our stock right now. There are more SKUs. We're actually working with Board and Dice to bring more of those SKUs into our lineup. It's just really been a matter of production and availability and everything. So we started off with the ones that we knew were available because, again, it's been such a crazy year. I just sold some Magic cards to take care of a personal expense. And the person I sold them to said to me, he goes, wait a minute. These are all sleeved and top loaded. Yes, I'll buy them just for those. They were just trying to get sleeves and top loaders for it. So it's kind of crazy. So, but yeah, again, if you go to the GTS distribution page, at the top, you'll see very top, like middle-ish area, depending on how big your browser is. You'll see stock list, you'll see supplies, and then you'll see Paladin card protection. So that's kind of like your home area for everything there.
Yep. And again, these are in stock, which is important to reiterate. Everything that we're talking about either is currently in stock, will be in stock by November. So we just wanted you to be aware of all of the things that are both, especially the existing games that have already been out. Like we talked about Teotihuacan, we talked about the entire Escape Tales series, whether people are looking to fill a hole in their collection or maybe buy the 3 games that have been out so far, as well as the book that is just now coming out. Those are available. Tekken and Toantensuyu from last year's releases, as well as this year's releases, Origins and Tabanooci, as well as the Book of Rituals and the Paladin sleeves. There's availability for the holidays. And that's really what this was about, right? Is to just let you know again of the games that are available. That also includes expansions for both Teotihuacan as well as the brand new expansion for Tekkenu. Again, availability we know is very important for you as we're looking at the holidays, and we just wanted to take this opportunity to share that with you. And as always, at the end, we just like to reiterate of our commitment to support you as retailers. This is, we know that especially as we're approaching the holidays, your ability to sell games that are available trumps anything that has to do with empty promises or anything that would like to have. If it's in stock, people they can buy things that are in stock. They will not buy things that are not on the shelves. We always strive to keep you informed about our release schedule, about whether things are on time or not. We also invest a lot of our time to make sure that there is plenty of marketing materials available. You have access to a library of media kits with lots of excellent and professional images that are available that you can use in any way that you like. Do you want to use them on your website? Do you want to use them in marketing materials? Any way that you want to highlight and show off the games to make it easier for you to sell them. And if there's a particular need that you have when it comes to media kits and images, and that's not supported or provided in the media kit, always feel free to contact us. We are more than happy to help. We also have access to test versions available on Tabletopia that we use to help demo these games. Just recently during Gen Con, we ran demos with people. We will continue to provide access to reviews and to other content creators, playthroughs and so forth, so that provides support for you in order to be able to sell this. Again, if you have any questions, any needs or so, feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to assist you in this. And we see this as a partnership between you and us. Whatever we can do to help you sell more, to help you have access to the information that you need, even if this means that you're not selling our games, but if we can help you sell games in general, this is good for the hobby, it's good for the industry, and in the end, it's good for all of us, and it keeps us all in business. So thank you so much to all of you for listening to this and for being here and so forth. Of course, if there are any questions and such, we're happy to answer those as well.
Yeah, no, I have to stress on this for everyone here live and for everyone watching. Board and Dice is an exclusive partner of ours, and we work very hard to keep their products in stock. If they have them, we want to have them. Mandala Stones has been a huge hit this year for us. There was a comment earlier, I just want to address it real quick. But Julio had mentioned about the player boards for Mandala Stones. He said that the player boards could have been a bit better. I understand that's a complete personal preference thing, as most games with art. I believe games are art, and I think that a lot of that can be subjective at times. The player boards are designed to be more, I guess, personal management, I guess is the easiest way to say it, because your score is kept on your player board, not on a major player board. But the experience, I think, overall of playing Mandala Stones has been obviously phenomenal. We've seen several reviews that have done very, very well with it. I'm personally extremely excited about Origins. That is like one of my top most anticipated games, just personally, forget professionally, because that thing hits on like every type of trigger that I love. It looks beautiful. It's got great table presence. It plays easy. It's got high strategy, and it's got a really cool kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of theme to it of, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens, right?
Yep.
Things like that. But it's really important. I want to touch on something that you said there at the end about how you made the comment of, feel free to reach out to us and contact us, whether it's about us helping you sell our games or just selling games in general. That is such an altruistic approach to the market that transparently is not seen very much. There are a lot of people that will consistently say, when the waters rise, all boats float. But there are also a lot of people who are very, very protective of their own stuff and want things always focused on their products or their things. And I understand both of those mentalities and both of those directions. But this is obviously the last year and a half has been ridiculously challenging for everybody in the industry, whether you're a retailer, a consumer, a distributor, anything in between. And to maintain that level of we want to help see the industry grow. We want to be a player in the industry, but we also want to help the industry grow, both from a social perspective, from an economical perspective, from a ability perspective, and from a product perspective, is really awesome. And that's one of the main reasons, a lot of people may not know this at first when they think about things like this, when you're listening to things, but GTS does not have a lot of exclusives. We're very, very, very picky about who and when and why we work with people to be exclusive. And for me, the biggest, most important thing is the type of people that we're working with. The people and their goals, their business goals, their personal goals. What are their plans? Not just, are you making a great game or do you have a great product? Because quite frankly, anybody can make a good game right now, it seems. I mean, there's like a bajillion games on the market. But it's very easy to be a one-hit wonder, and it's very hard to be a long-standing publisher in the industry. And Teotihuacan has obviously been a long-time evergreen for us now. It's done extremely well. We're seeing things like, the new stuff with First Builders, Origins. We're seeing Tabanooci, we're seeing Tekenu, we're seeing Tawantinsiu also maintain very good sales inside of a market space that's honestly really crowded, right? That high strategy marketplace is very crowded, but those things continue to do very, very well. Then on the flip side of that coin, you have the abstract game like Mandala Stones, which has also done really well. For us, it's been a joy working with Board and Dice, both from a personal and professional perspective, because of that attitude, and because you guys are focused primarily on your stuff, making sure it's good, making sure it's great, and making sure it's available, but also focused on helping every aspect of this business. So from me to you, I want to thank you, even though Eric's not here now, he's probably watching this and he's, saying, oh, thank you. But I mean, it is definitely greatly appreciated. And I hope it translates to our partners. So.
Yeah, and it is really, I mean, this is not something that we take lightly, right? When we say that we want you to reach out, and when we say that we want this is what we strive to do, right? We invest our time and money and efforts because we believe that this is good for the industry, and it has proven to be that way. And we have long-term goals. We're not just trying to make things work for the short term. We're not just looking at how to sell out the next print run. We're looking at who we are, how we establish ourselves on the market, and where we will be years from now, because we want people to know that who we are today, that's who we will be and better in the future. So we're always looking for ways to improve, which also, if there are things that we can do better, we always welcome feedback on whether it be the quality of game components, whether it be gameplay or whatever. Any of those things, always reach out to us and tell us. We want honest opinions. We want to be able to improve. So definitely, thank you.
And just in case anyone doesn't know, the best email is contact@boardanddice.com. I actually put that into the chat as well, but just so everyone is watching this maybe on YouTube or anything like that knows. Of course, everyone is welcome to reach out to me as well. My email address is smorris@gtsdistribution.com. Happy to answer any kind of questions. But we're a couple of minutes over because we started a couple minutes late. But Rainer, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk to our retailers and for your partnership and friendship. You're a good man, my friend. And retailers, thank you all so much. Really do appreciate you all joining. I know it's kind of a crazy week right after Gen Con and everything going on, but really do appreciate everybody taking the time to come join us. Our next one is going to be lined up on Monday, the 27th. We got Cryptozoic, who's going to come talk about some new products as well that they have coming up for the holidays and some new things. So feel free to pre-register for that if you haven't already, or if you are already, you'll get notified about it and be able to join us on Monday. With that, though, Rainer, again, thank you so much. Retailers, thank you. Hope everyone has a great week in your stores, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.